And I thank you for having this. You guys are just phenomenal. And here's what I really love, because I get to talk to people of the LDS Church, or well, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, okay? Because we have the rest of the story, which is really phenomenal. So we know all the bad things that are happening, but we get to know what's really happening. This is where you're going to learn something, okay? So now you're going to learn something. And it's because, like I said, everybody has these experiences for reasons. I really want to try this. We'll see if we can do it on this presentation real fast, just because this is the basis that everybody should know that you are not taught at school.
So tell us about LaVoy then, with what happened with his body and what happened.
Okay, so, it was horrid. Have you ever read his book? Maybe you guys don't know his book. LaVoy Finicum's book. It's called One Cowboy Stands for Freedom. Okay, so he wrote this book, and it was absolutely, no, that's his website. Let's see, what's the book? He only wrote one book, and I had written my book, fastest book that ever happened, when I wrote the one in Nevada, and it's called Shawna, Last Rancher Standing. Okay, Clive Bundy. There was 52 ranchers out there, and he's the only one still standing. Last two, they got regulated out by the BLM, right? So he's the only one. He's the last one standing. He's the only one still there. He owns all the grazing and the water rights from as far as you can see out all around the Golden Butte Mountain, because there's no fences. No. Cliven does. Oh, Cliven. Yeah, and anyway, it's an amazing story. But so, what were you asking me, LaVoy? Oh, what happened to his case? Okay, so his wife goes back to try to do a wrongful death, right? She's trying to sue him through a wrongful death. She's using Morgan Philpott. But I'm telling you, it's never going to happen. You're never going to win in the court. Because not only, as LaVoy did, they killed Mumford. Yep, Mumford's dead. Okay, they put the attorney here in Utah, okay? So they've also put Rick Corber in prison because he was the legal, oh my gosh, I can't think of all his name. No, he's not a prosecutor. He was paralegal. So he was the paralegal for them.
What's his name?
Morgan's running scared. Rick Corber. He happens to be Glenn Kimber's son-in-law.
Oh.
Okay? So he's in prison for 38 years.
Yes, he told us that.
Yeah,
remember?
so I'm telling you. So, and I knew he was going to prison because the second I got to the court, I was the only one in the courtroom when he had already beat them a few times. And I went into the courtroom with him and his wife. And when I saw who they brought in to hang him, I knew it was the axe. Okay, so he was a retired judge from New York, and he had gone into retirement, moved to Colorado. They brought him as the axeman to take Corber down, and I knew the first 10 minutes he was in that room that no matter what Rick does, they're going to put him, they're taking him down. Okay?
Having him walked away.
Because Morgan was the attorney, Mumford was the attorney, and Rick Corber was the paralegal that helped the Bundys in Oregon, right? But Mumford was ejected from Oregon because of what he had done, and we won, right? And he was brought back into Utah, and they tried to disbar him here, and they didn't want him to represent Rick Corber to protect him, and so they wouldn't let Morgan Philpott do it either. So they hung Rick Corber, put him in prison because they want to keep him away. So during the meantime, they end up killing Mumford. Let's see. It's like they say, well, how do you know that they actually killed these women? Gee, I don't know. How do I know that they killed the vet that was helping us? Isn't that funny? Suddenly he dies. The person that came to, that was the witnesses that showed up on the scene of where we got shot at, right? 2 guys on the snowmobile. The guy that had the white pickup that was videotaping at the garden. And they, right. everybody just disappears. The Indian that was protecting the land where the boy's blood was spilled. It was, I can tell you horror stories of stuff that they've done, right? Because, but I know, because you see, I was involved with all these people, and I know. And so it's just get rid of the evidence, right? And they say, well, Shawna, why aren't you dead?
Yeah.
Oh, because it's not my turn, right? They can only kill me one time. Not because I didn't try, but because God has protected me, because I know the job that I have to do, right? He has protected me. And I said, when they take me down, my job is over. But until that happens, as long as I keep talking, as long as I testify, as long as I do what He tells me to do, God protects me. I'm okay with dying. There's no so bad to go on the other side. It's harder to live than it is to die, because so what happens is I just know my call, and so I have to do what the Lord's told me to. So that's what I'm trying to do.
All right.
Sometimes fast. All right, so let's start this. So what is the Constitution based upon? Do you have a clue? It's based on, can I turn that? Oh, I can't turn that. I can do it here. Okay, it's based on natural law, right? What's natural law?
Law.
Everything that happens in nature. Oh, gee, does God tell, well, if you plant an apple seed, do you think you're going to get an orange tree?
No.
No. If you have the birds fly south, who told them to fly south for the winter?
Lot.
He didn't actually tell them. It's a natural law. Because it's a natural law, it's for everything, right? Nature, when the sun comes out and the trees warm up and the sap goes to the trees and the leaves produce fruit, right? Mm-hmm. God does have influence. Absolutely. But what's the natural law? Do we know that the sun's going to come up in the morning and go down at night? That's a natural law because of the way it's been put together, right? Everything is a natural law. Those are not things we can change. So God says, and I don't care if it's whatever you want to call it, but it takes a male and a female to procreate. So you can call it anything you want. But the Constitution is based on natural law, God's law. Okay, so let's say, we're going to show you a natural law real quick. Let's say that this is a iPhone store. Everybody been out on a Black Friday? And what happens when they say, okay, there's going to be 10 free iPhones given to the first 10 to show up? Oh, right? Everybody gets in line. Now look, I live 90 miles from St. George. We were always there first because we started driving at 4 o'clock in the morning and people in town think, oh, we can get there in 10 minutes, right? So we're always the first ones in line. Let's say you get here. How do you know that this person right here gets the first iPhone?
Because they're number one.
First in line, right? They're the first in line or first in time. So we know. Now let's say, Colette, you're going to come right here. And you get there, because see, you're in a hurry. But it's 2 o'clock in the morning, because people now camp out to get things, right? It's crazy. But back then it wasn't quite that. Now, she gets there, say, about 2 o'clock in the morning. It's freezing cold outside. She's standing there. She's waiting in line. All these people know that they're going to get a free iPhone, right? So she says, so you already know who you are. But now it gets 6 o'clock. She's got to go to the bathroom. What happens if she gets out of line? Oh, it's called use it or lose it. You ever heard of that? Okay. So how is she going to save her spot?
Well, entrust it to someone.
Ask somebody to save it for you, right? Okay. So if you have any rights at all, you have to understand these rights. If you have any rights at all, you have to have all three things. It's called claim, use, defend. They've claimed their spots. She's using it, or you're going to lose it, right? And now you may have to defend it. Because, see, you just went. You asked maybe this person, hold my spot, please. Okay? But then you decide that not only did you go to the bathroom, but maybe you better go get something to eat real quick. How long can you be gone before that you lose that spot?
Probably just minutes.
The longer you're gone, the less likely it's going to be there when you come back, right? So we're going to say Colette did her job. She came right back and didn't take off. She comes right back and she's holding her spot. But along comes this guy right here. Oh, I'm drying up your thing. Okay. Along comes this guy right here. Oh, sheesh. And he decides, and he's a really big guy, and he steps right in front of you. And now you have a job to defend. What are you going to do?
You're gonna tell him to please move.
Because you're nice.
Yeah.
And you're going to say, oh, the back of the line is back there. Because maybe he doesn't know, right? But what if he says, and if he's righteous, if he's a good guy, right, he's going to go to the back of the line. If he has the ill intentions, he's going to say, oh, yeah, well, just make me.
He's trying to make me.
Yeah. Now what are you going to do?
Please. I don't know.
You get the people behind you to
Help defend.
Yeah.
Yeah, these people all around you, right?
Supporting all the rest of them.
I mean, the ones up there, it doesn't matter. The ones behind me will matter.
Okay, now that's wrong. Because here's the problem. I'm going to tell you why. Because in our mind, that's what we think, right? That was my first instinct. But it's not. Because you see, you don't have any other space. You only have this spot right there. That's the one you claimed. You can't take theirs. They've been there all that time. You can't bump them down. You have to defend your spot because he's taking your spot, right? He didn't take that one, only yours. So you have to defend it. So yes, you're right. Grab the people around you. Do you know what that's called? Because guess what? This guy right here, he's bigger than you, and he might outshout you or beat you up, okay? But is he going to outshout 10 people?
No.
No. And you already knew who you were because you've been here for a long time and there's all people gathering around, right? So you would say to him, okay, a few things. Maybe you decide to dispose of it because you don't want to have any contention. How would you dispose of a right?
Walk away.
Okay, so we'll abandon it or walk away, okay? Or what else do you do if you've got something? If you have an asset, anything, how do you dispose of it? All right, you can sell it. You can gift it, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
Gift it. Is that what you said? You said,
Eat it.
oh, eat it? Yeah, okay. Well, that's kind of like abandoned trash give. So you can also gift it off to somebody, right? You could gift it, or sell it, gift it, abandon it. How about trade it? Could you trade it? Could somebody steal it?
Well, yeah.
Or they could steal it, right? Somebody could steal it. Okay, so those are ways that you could dispose of something. Well, let's say that you're here and you say to him, well, I'll tell you what, if you give me $100, I need $100 more than I do a cell phone. I'll give you this my coupon, or I'll give you the spot, right? Or you can say, or trade it. If you've got a coupon for a television, I need a television more than I need this iPhone. I'll switch you. Or he could just plain old steal it from you and push you out of line. Take it, right? But you can't steal this guy's spot just because he pushed you out of line. Then, or you could just walk away. Say, okay, it's all yours. So you're might be giving it to him or abandon him, okay? So, but does it matter what this is right here? Let's say it's not the iPhone store, but it is a church picnic. Tons of food. We always have food at the church picnic. Here comes this man with a whole bunch of little bodies behind him, right? And now, how much should you defend that?
I'd probably invite him in.
Now we're real Christ-like. We turn the other cheek, step right in here. We know there's plenty of food. Nobody's got a problem, right? So we're going to do that, and we're going to let you right in here, okay? So does it matter what this is? Absolutely, because what if it is your life?
Yeah.
What if it's your liberty? What if it's your property? And why property? Because they said, go ahead.
Well, that's what the founding fathers defended: life, liberty, and property.
Right.
And they changed it because of the slave issue.
Not exactly, but sort of. Okay. So property was important. That's why they left England, to come and get property.
Right.
Because with property,
Abraham a covenant of the land
Absolutely, there you go. Because it wasn't just that, but here's the thing with property. The property is all the riches of the world. If you own property, why do they want us off the property? Because they want to control the land, control the property. If you have a small piece of property, you can do everything we have, everything we eat, everything we wear, all of our everything comes from the ground, right? So we know that we have to have property to be, that's our riches. We can live on a little piece of property and build a house out of the dirt itself. You could grow your crops, your plants, your animals, everything it comes from the land. That's why it's so important for people to own land. And they couldn't do it in England because they would took it away from them. They had to come and get land or property. That is the riches, right? That is how we prosper. So it was important that we have that. So today, if they come along and they're taking out all of our property, our ranches, and they're moving us to where? The cities, in apartment houses. You see them popping up everywhere. That's Agenda 21. You already know all that, okay?
yeah.
So that is so that you have no way to grow your own food. If they control the food, they control you.
That's right.
Right? So this is why so much was about property and your liberty. They can lock you up for whatever. No reason whatsoever. They can put you in jail, and they are. Now we have, and now they're threatening to take away your life, or they are.
Oh, they
I
are.
like, okay, they are killing people. And this is really a scary thing that we have to stand and defend. And so how far should we go to defend that? God told us to not just only defend our own life, but to defend our family and our friends. No greater love hath any man than he laid down his life for his neighbor. What did Lavoie do? You see, what did Christ do? Do we have that responsibility? We have a responsibility to our families, to ourselves, to our families, to our friends. We have to know how far should we go to defend it. Ever heard of that?
Oh, yeah.
Shall not be infringed. So why are we becoming sanctuary cities, counties?
Yeah.
Shall not be infringed is already there. It's a law, right? So do we believe in the Constitution?
No.
Because God gave it to us, didn't He? We do believe in it. We want it to stay strong.
do believe
We
in it.
can't
They
change
don't
it.
believe in it.
Right,
Believe
they
it.
don't. We have to stand strong.
McKay said that the man that is not willing to defend those rights and the Constitution is not worthy of the celestial kingdom.
We can finish that. It's awesome. It's in my book. Okay, so here's what happens. We have a responsibility to claim, use, and defend. That's our job. Or we have no rights at all. And remember, the Constitution is only based upon a moral and a righteous people, because other countries don't stand in line. They just mob rules. Okay, so
And that's why you see the Antifas and Black Lives Matters doing the mob rule.
Sure.
They're trying to make that the norm.
absolutely. See, that's all Satan's power.
Yeah.
Okay, so now when we had, this is where you're going to need your constitutions, all right? Yeah, something. Okay. Anyway.
Well, it's a
Thanks.
backwards United States.
That's really crazy. Okay. Well, let's just put it. This is not an art class. I can do art, but we're not doing art. It takes too long. Okay. So here we go. We have now had a war, right? And we win the war. And we sign a treaty. And it's called the Treaty of what? In 1776, we win the war and we sign a treaty.
Declaration, maybe?
It starts in 1776 and it never gets finished signing until 1779. And it's called the Treaty of Paris because who did we fight? Who were we fighting?
England.
Great Britain, right?
France saved us at the end.
And Great Britain, but we signed the Treaty of Paris because it was signed first in Paris. How much property did the English, Great Britain retain in these states? These are independent nations, remember. 13 independent nations, sovereign. Remember, the word sovereign is not bad. It is called sovereign. We were independent. Is God sovereign? Absolutely, He's sovereign. We're sovereign. We're His sovereign children. That means we are our own self. We have a right to contract with whoever. These are sovereign, independent nations. This nation can contract with that nation, right? So, and how much land did they retain, Great Britain retain in each of those nations?
Washington, D.C.
Zero.
None. They say they did none. But you're close to this. Go back to Article 1, Clause. Sheesh. Oh, that's because I did this backwards. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. Okay, somebody read that, if you will, please.
What does it start with? The clauses aren't numbered.
Yeah, that's the second up from the 9.
To exercise exclusive legislation.
That's it.
In all cases whatsoever over such district, not exceeding 10 miles square.
Oh.
As may, by secession of particular states and the acceptance of Congress, become the seat of the government
Okay.
of the United States.
Stop there, and you just said it. What is it?
Washington.
DC, we're going to give them a place of business, okay? 10 miles square, not 10 square miles, 10 miles square. And that's where the seat of the government goes. Okay, go ahead and finish that.
Become the seat of the government of the United States, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be, for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings.
Okay?
Want me to keep going?
Nope, forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards. And other buildings. Okay, so this is the key. Remember this. They have in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, if they want any land in any of those states, they must do what? Purchase it, right? So the federal government, we gave them a place. Why did we give them that place? Because these original states or sovereign nations said, oh my goodness, what happens if we are here and Great Britain comes back with their ships and attacks? They're going to walk through us like dominoes because we're not united together. We have individual nations here. And we have borders. And what's going to happen if they attack one? They'll take them out and then they'll just walk through all of us. We have to protect ourselves. Let's make a contract. We're going to contract. We're going to hire them and give them a place of business. But we're going to put prohibitions on them. We're going to restrict them. That's why we have a constitution. We will restrict them and give them 19 essential jobs and no more. Because the rights belong to all the people. So we're going to give them that because we want them to do what? Protect the borders. Okay? Their job is to protect the borders. And how are we going to pay for them? Export and import taxes. That funds the federal government. Right? That's all they get to do. They don't make rules for the states. They don't do anything like that, but we have Congress. It's a place for the government to be. And it outlines it in the Constitution exactly how it's to be set up. Executive, legislative, judicial. Okay? And they have a president. So now they say, okay, but you can't retain any property. So once we get the Northeast Territory, how did they dispose? Because, oh, sorry, forgot this. Let's do Article 4, Clause 3.
Are you talking about the Northwest Ordinance?
The Northeast. Okay? Article 4, Section 3, Clause 2.
The Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States.
Oh, okay, there you go. What kind of property?
Belonging to the United States.
Belonging to the United States.
Territory. And what other properties do we have?
Property.
Territory and states. We have territory and states. Those are the two types of property. And they can make all the needful rules and regulations of the territories, but not the states, because the states are already independent. So if they can make rules, but they have to dispose of. How do you dispose of?
Sell it.
gift it, trade it, somebody can steal it, they can abandon it. Okay, so what happens? How did they get rid of all this property? We have the Louisiana Purchase. I'm just doing this because I don't have time. Okay. So how did they get rid of all this territory as we acquired it? How did they get rid of it? This one, they got rid of it by selling it. You know why they sold the Northeast Territory? Because they had war debts they had to pay. So they sold that land before they turned it into states. All the rest of them, they did something else. You have that right now, still today. They opened it up, they gifted it. They opened it up and said, homestead, everybody get out there and homestead, run. And everybody ran for the property, right? That's what they did. So let's go back here. Because they had to dispose of it, they said, oh, so let's say, all right, we're running and we take our, you see little movies of that, was really cool. Okay, so we run out there and we stake out a piece of property, right? Boom, 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 this is my property. Tree, boat, a hill, whatever it is, a rock, a boulder. And this is where we staked it, we loved it, we took the best piece that we could find, right? And we built a house. Oh, well, we're just happy with our little family. And then one time we decided to go on a vacation. And we went out to go sightseeing. We come back the next day.
Someone's there.
Somebody's there, bigger and stronger than us, and we can't get back in. Guess what happened? Nothing. There's no rules, there's no laws, there's nothing. So we got to go build another property. We got to stake out another piece. Only this time, we got a little smarter.
Leave somebody behind.
Right, to stand guard, right? Well, actually, what they did is they went, okay, we're going to put one right here, and Dad, you come over here and build your house right next to mine.
So
And
the families.
so, John, you come over here and build yours. And Sally, you come over here and build yours. And so then, whenever I have to leave, you watch my stuff. When you leave, I'll watch your stuff. What do we call that today?
Gardening.
It's a neighborhood watch, right? We have a neighborhood watch. Everybody's supposed to be helping the neighbors. If you see somebody over there unloading furniture out of that house and you don't know who they are, do you think you might go check? Yeah, because you probably know those people. What happened? Why are you guys over here? It's a neighborhood watch. That's a responsibility to tend your neighbors, okay? Now, because they created these, we turned them into little villages and a few towns and a few cities and a few more towns and a few more villages, and we put borders around them. And what do we call this? County. Right, it's a county. And in that county, we build a building. It's called the County Recorder's Office. Why?
Keeps records.
Keeps the record exactly where that stake went in, so nobody's moving the rock or the boulder or something over and taking more of your property, right? So that was important, that we save and record those properties. So now we have a county recorder, and we said, okay, we've got to, this is what I love, okay? Now inside of those borders, we've also found that we have, we probably have a river or a ponds or water, because everybody's going to build by the water, right? You got to have resource. And then over here we got like trees or forest, and we may have some mountains over here, so we'll have some minerals and resources. And one guy looks at this and he says, water, we need water. I'll haul water in buckets. Oh, and everybody, and I'll trade you for chicken eggs, right? I'll get the water, you bring the eggs. This is what I call the cream rises to the top. People begin to see these. They see, one guy sees the trees, I'll chop wood, we need wood for fires, I'll exchange you for the water, etc. So it all starts, the economy starts to grow, okay? And then this guy says, oh, I see boats, but I see trees, but I'm going to make a boat. I love to fish. I'm going to get the fish from the river, and I'm going to trade it in town. And he builds a boat and hires people to come and help. Everybody's now working. And now everybody leaves their house because they're all working. So who's going to watch your stuff?
Bill Gates.
Yeah. He's going to shoot us all, and it doesn't matter we're dead. Take the whole thing. So we're in the county. We need to have somebody protect us. Who is it?
The police.
The sheriff.
The sheriff! Yay! Da, 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 the sheriff. We elect the strongest, biggest man we know to protect our stuff while we're gone. Now, let me tell you a little Aesop's fable here. Okay, and this is, what did all the people do when they brought all their sheep? Their assets came to the mountain. They get to a place, all the townspeople bring all their sheep into one flock, and they hire a shepherd to keep an eye over them, right? Isn't that what Christ is? He's a shepherd. He's to keep an eye. What happens when a wolf comes knocking at the door to kill the sheep? He kills it, right? Kills the wolf, kills the bear, whatever it is that's coming to attack. When a flock of wolves or a pack of wolves come to kill the sheep, what's his job? Can he kill a whole pack of wolves?
Sounds a warning.
Okay, what's it called? He cries, wolf, right? And what happens?
Everybody comes.
Everybody comes running. It doesn't matter if you got a fork, a shovel, whatever it is you got, a club, and everybody runs to protect their assets, their sheep, right? This is how it works. So when you have a sheriff that you hire to protect the borders of the county, his job is to protect anybody from coming inside to steal any of our resources or to make rules and regulations or to steal our rights, okay? We hire him to protect us. When he can't and a whole bunch of people come in or bigger people come in, he's supposed to yell for help. And who's supposed to come? The militia. Every man, woman, and child is the militia. It's not a bad word, it's a good word, right? That's who we are. So everybody comes to protect. Does he have a right to hire a bunch of his friends to be his deputies to protect the borders? No, because that's where you get your standing armies against the people. You see, I've seen them. I've seen the sheriffs come in and they're going to hire their friends, and then their friends go out and they arrest somebody and they steal all their assets because they take their guns and whatever they want, and somehow it just disappears into so-called evidence files that have just disappeared, right? So they've become the enemy against you that are there to take you down instead of becoming the one to protect you. You never hire a sheriff or a constable or bailiff that doesn't rightfully know the law and swears to abide by it, that knows the Constitution. Do they know the Constitution? No, they don't know the Constitution. We have to teach them their responsibility. And because who are the people? We are the people. Now, let's see. Now we got a whole bunch of other of these areas, and we stick them in another boundary, which is a state. And we hire somebody to protect the borders. Who is he?
Governor.
Yeah, thank you. The governor. How's he doing? Okay, see what I'm saying? It becomes tyrannical. His only job is to keep the federal government and every other enemy out of the sight of our borders. Even to the tune of $524 million that he took for COVID. Wait a minute, why did he make mask mandates? Why is he doing these things to us? Forcing vaccines. Because somebody's getting money, right? It's all about the money. So I'm showing you that we have rights. If we don't stand on our rights, we have none. We have to claim them, we have to use them, we have to defend them. So why are we just bowing down and doing what they tell us to do?
Some of us aren't.
This is the scary thing. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that, okay? I will talk to you about that. It's not a commandment, okay? I know him. I know. Okay. Okay, so do you understand? This is what we were teaching the people. They can also steal your property. How do they steal your property? Let's say you got a piece of property and it's legal to steal. Let me show you how. So let's say you have a piece of property. You build your house over here. You've got this piece of property that somebody's decided over here that they want to use it for a roadway, and they continue to travel across that piece of property. And when they do it for so long, right? Now you're not using it. They're using it. So you've lost part of that right unless you say, okay, I'm going to charge you $1 a year. Or I'm here and I know that that's my property, and I'm deeming that this is my property. I have all of these. This is my staked out property. I have a deed to this property. And you are trespassing on my property. I don't care if you do, as long as you recognize that it's still my property. But if they do that,
Gates or HOAs will put a gate so that one day of the year you can't get in, they can't get adverse possession.
see, that's the problem. They're going to take adverse possession. Because after how long in Utah? Is it before they can take
Is
it?
7 years?
7 years, okay?
I learned that in real estate school.
And that's called adverse possession. So guess what we're doing? We went to the refuge to claim adverse possession. How do you get rid of that person from stealing? All you got to do is call the sheriff. Bring forth your deed. Say they're trespassing on my property and I want them off if they refuse to leave. Or make a contract with them. If they refuse to do that and they continue to use this, you're going to lose your property because they can get a deed to it if they can prove that they've been on it for 7 years. In Nevada, guess how many years it is? 5. In Oregon, guess how many years it is? 5. So we're going to hold this refuge for 5 freaking years if we have to in adverse possession because we said, government, if you own this property, bring forth the deed. Can they? No, because there's no such thing. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 says you can't own property, and if it is, it can only be used for what? Dockyards, stockyards, and other needful buildings that have anything to do with protecting the borders. It's military purposes only. That's all we hired you for. Therefore, you can't make national parks, you can't make BLM properties, you can't make any federal lands. There's no such thing.
Brother, we're dumb people.
Because we don't know, and they continue to do this to us. And that's the problem. We said to them, okay, so let's play like you have a house right here, and you hire, this is how they got in, okay, and we hired a landscaper to come to your property, and you loved it. He comes in and he makes all these water features and these rock features and a pond, and he says, and you pay him, okay, this is Joe. And he says, oh, you know what, for $50 a month, which isn't very much, I will maintain that. I'll mow the grass, I'll trim the trees, I'll take care of the pond, I'll make sure I'll take all these things for $50. You're going, good deal. Okay, so $50 it is. So year after year, he continues to do this. Well, this is just an example so you understand how they took over. So year after year, you continue to pay this, right? But you go on vacation, you come back home, guess what he does? He's ripped up the whole property and he's made a desert scenery, cactus, all this stuff. You don't want that. What do?
Call the sheriff.
I would fire him. Wouldn't you fire him?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd fire him. But he's gone around and told everybody in town and everybody in the county that that's Joe's property because he created that trees and all that stuff that was on the property. And he's continued to use the name Joe's property. So everybody thinks that's Joe's property because they keep saying that's Joe's property. That's Joe, that's Joe's, that's Joe's. He goes down the county building, even puts his name on a piece of property, right? That's what the BLM did. They don't own the land. They can't, according to the Constitution.
Wow.
They can't own the land, but they say they do. And that's what we're telling them. Okay, so we're going to hold this refuge in adverse possession. If they want to come and take it, they must bring forth their deed, prove that they own this property, and kick us off for trespass. So we might get a trespass, which is a misdemeanor. We might get a trespass for coming on her, even though they said it was open to all the public and the doors were not locked and nobody's there and they've had hunting on there for years, right? So it wasn't because we came in and had some people had guns. Big deal. We knew that they were going to come and try to shoot us because they already did that in Nevada. It was for self-defense. Nobody went in to attack anybody. There was nobody in the refuge. We're holding adverse possession. We put the name on, we changed it, we put a flag up, we changed the name of the refuge. We went in, all the mail came into my name in Burns, okay, to that address. We tried to pay we paid the utilities, we paid the trash, we tried to pay the power, but you know what? They had hardwired that refuge into the main lines. And if they would have shut that off, because there was no cutoff, if they would have shut that off, they would have shut off every rancher out in the middle of the county. So they couldn't turn off the power. So we still had heat. All we said was, show us the deed. Show us the deed. You don't own it, the people own it. And this is state land. It is owned by the people. This is county property. It's owned by the people, not you, and you cannot sell it. Harry Reid, Bill Clinton, Hillary, you can't sell that land because you don't own it. And you can't, sure as heck can't sell it and give it to China or any other country. Those resources are the people's.
Yeah.
Okay, do you see why they came after us? Take them out. Okay, so that's why. This is what we were teaching. This is what's really important that the people understand. That's the Constitution.
Yeah.
Okay?
And
All right.
it was first taught by Jethro, Moses' father-in-law.
Absolutely. Right. Divide the land.
Yep.
So anyway, we'll figure out what we're going to do from
All
here
right,
on. But
I'll be in touch.
this
I'll
is
talk to Robin and I'll call you.
okay.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
so much.
Anyway, there you go. Sorry. Thanks for the water.
I'm sorry, I should have.
Oh no.